Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, Opie's world shatters when he discovers his wife's secret drug addiction and extramarital affair through her purse. The revelation leads to divorce, full custody of their children, and legal action against the drug dealer. Despite financial challenges, the husband focuses on his children's well-being and ensures supervised visits with their troubled mother. The experience prompts healing, and he looks forward to rebuilding his life while safeguarding his children's innocence. Now let's get into the story. My world came crashing down on the day that I decided to check my wife's purse. I can't pinpoint when she changed, only that it was gradual. She became more and more antsy and anxious about everything, but specifically her independent, but disabled adult brother. She started insisting that she go visit him more and more often to make sure he was okay. She swore to me that his health seemed to be declining, and I 36 took her word for it. We were married for 12 years when this started happening. I knew my wife as an energetic and fun woman. She always wanted to have a good time with me, even if it was at home. Even as she aged, she never really slowed down and always maintained her go-getter attitude. We had 2 children together, aged 9 and 6 when I filed for divorce. 8 years into our marriage, she became the primary caregiver of her disabled brother, who was largely independent anyway. She'd stop by at least once a day to make sure he was okay, but like I said, as she became more and more anxious, she started visiting with him for longer and longer periods of time. When it came to the point that she was at his house from the moment she got done work to 11 p.m. at night, I had enough. I never agreed to act as a single parent while she practically lived at her brother's house. I drove to his house and she wasn't there. Since I didn't have any other clues, I returned home and she was there. She claimed I must have just missed her since she came back from her brother's house. She was very clingy to her purse, which made it seem like she had something important inside. When she finally went to sleep, I checked it and I couldn't believe what I found. I found a bag of drugs. This made a lot of sense, given my wife's insane energy and growing need to be away from the house. I took her phone into my shaking hands and read text between her and someone we'll call AP. I never checked my wife's phone before this because it was never a concern. The texts were very bad. She wasn't just doing drugs with him, she was having intimate with him in exchange for the drugs. Just like that, within 45 seconds, I realized I did not know who my wife was. I thought she was loyal and honest, and she wasn't. I thought she was a responsible and thoughtful mother, but she was not. Our 12-year marriage was over, and I dreaded telling our children. We tried to conceive a 3rd child, but she only had a few miscarriages, and now I didn't know if it was due to her secret drug habit. I sat on the kitchen floor as I racked my brain for any clues she'd given me, and there were none. She was really good at hiding it from me, at least until that month. I took 2 hours to think about what I was going to do and how I'd handle this. First, I decided to call the police. I told them AP's name and address from the texts and said I had proof that my wife was getting drugs from him. He was investigated and arrested within 24 hours. Before my wife woke up, I got the kids ready and took them to my mom's house. She woke up in an empty house and called me. As soon as I told her I found what was in her purse, she freaked out. She tried to say she didn't do them all the time, just when she needed a pick-me-up. I told her she couldn't lie to me, but she'd better use what she had slowly because her AP dealer was in jail. She was speechless. She tried to play dumb, but I told her she was wasting my time and hung up. She didn't call me back for a while, but when she did, she was devastated. Reality started sinking in. Having confirmed that AP actually was in jail and knowing I had evidence against her meant she was going to have trouble seeing her kids in the future. She showed up to my mom's house in desperation, begging me to come home with the kids so we could work through it. I told her there wasn't any hope for our marriage. I couldn't even look at her. but I did tell her I would never try to keep her from seeing our children. She pulled herself together long enough to visit with them. She didn't look good in court, and I won full custody. It was up to me when and how my wife would visit with her kids, so I made sure I was always there and she was sober. As terrible as this was, it was the best outcome that could have happened for us all after my wife's betrayal and bad habit. I got a new house for the kids, and after selling the old one. It was harder with just one income. Even though my wife was ordered to pay alimony and child support, the payments were always late. Eventually, she started working under the table and giving me what she could, but she had trouble maintaining a job. I'm glad I live with my kids and know they're safe. I've been healing and living my life, almost the same as I was before, just waiting until I feel ready to start dating again. I only want to protect our children's innocence. Today's second story. In this story, Opie, facing a terminal pancreatic cancer diagnosis, discovers his wife's affair through home security footage. Deciding not to confront her immediately, he consults his lawyer to secure his assets and plans for his family's future. The couple is well off financially, with a prenup safeguarding individual wealth. As the man prepares for his last holiday season, he remains focused on creating positive memories for his family. Despite personal turmoil, he ensures financial stability for his loved ones and maintains a stoic demeanor while addressing his deteriorating health. Now let's get into the story. On the December 1st, I got the news I was dreading. All of the tests have confirmed the diagnosis. I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So basically, this will be my last holiday season. I am awkward. What is going to come? I am at peace with that. I have had a life well lived. All of my loved ones will be taken care of. I am naturally a private person. So my wayward wife, Jane, is unaware of my tests. I did not want to worry her until I had answers. So I headed home early to have the talk. This is not something I wanted to do over the phone or by text. Well, as you can guess, since I am here, my life changed more than once. That afternoon when I arrived at the house, I noticed the car of one of my business partners in the drive. There was no mistaking it flashy, expensive, with a personalized license tag. To say this is out of the ordinary is an understatement. I pull up our home camera system on my phone and notice it is in privacy mode, not recording. So I let it be and drove off to my farm property. Now, our camera system is for safety, and I never look at it unless there is a concern. With that said, I also love to watch for wildlife on the outside cameras. I also find it oddly satisfying to watch storms come through. So for my own enjoyment years ago, I configured a second video recorder to archive the cameras to local storage. That storage is not accessible via my phone. So when I was at the farm, I opened up my computer and looked at the other server to confirm what my gut was telling me. And sure enough, there they were snuggling in the living room, drinking wine, dancing, then going up to the bedroom suite. Apparently, they left the doors open because the microphone recorded their activities after they left the camera view. With my limited time left, I wanted answers. But I didn't want the drama of a confrontation and divorce. Call me what you will, but all of my devotion and love for her left me that afternoon. I have all of the emotions that are to be expected. I know that I am not to blame. I have been a loyal, romantic, and attuned partner. I am now thinking about myself. I know what is important to me. So I called my lawyer and we reviewed my will and our prenup. I told him what was going on. We worked on an understanding of how long and to what extent this affair has been going on. One is found as disturbing, and I either clearly did not know the woman I shared 2+ decades of life with, or something in her changed. At this time, I am not going to say anything to my kids. Wayward wife, and I never had children, or wayward wife. I am going to put on a stiff upper lip and get through the holidays, give the kids and grandkids one last holiday memory. With me involved, I will be the doting father and grandfather, and then try to play the doting husband role. Some background for some of the obvious questions. AP is a widower and is not remarried. He is a business partner but not friend. I do not invest with friends. I never married my twins' mother, male and female. It was her choice, and I completely agree with her that at that time she made the correct decision. My kid's mother, Sarah, married a very wonderful man, Steve, when the kids were 7. Sarah and Steve never had kids of their own. I got my head out of my ass when the kids were 3. I have been very involved with them before that, but that is when I started my road to be the father I wanted to be. Sarah and I co-parented well together, and I would call Steve a friend. Sarah, Steve and I are in our 60s. Jane is almost 60. AP is in his 50s. Jane and I are both in our first marriage. We were in our 30s when we married. Update first. I want to thank you all for all your support. It really has helped. I have read all of your comments and has given me a lot to think about. I'm going to give some general information to help clarify my situation. Sarah and I were very young when we had twins. They were a surprise, but always wanted so. The twins are in their 40s and the grandkids are all teens and older. Christmas is a week-long affair. Every year we spend Christmas through New Year on the farm. We go cut down a tree. After everyone arrives, we decorate, cook, play, and celebrate as a family. Sarah and Steve have been a part of this tradition since I bought the farm. I remain steadfast in not telling anyone until after the new year. If I told Sarah, she would not be able to keep it in. I don't want to place Steve in a position to lie to his wife. I want the kids and grandkids to enjoy the week. We will have plenty of time to cry and prepare in a few weeks. Jane's presence this week will just be a small detail. In the long run, really, I don't care about her anywhere near the rest of the family. The finances are very interesting. Jane and I met and were married after we both were very established in our job and wealth. She had a good job with a great pension. She also had 2 inheritances that were in a trust. We agreed early on that we were both comfortable and we would not disclose to each other our entire worth by her insistence. We also have a prenup where any property and trust that predate the marriage and any income from those resources are not considered marital property. Again, on her insistence. Now I have provided both properties, housing with utilities. I purchased the travel, food, and fuel. Basically, I support her 100%. Her income and wealth are spent by her only. She purchased her car, clothes, personal travel, and cosmetic surgery. She is a very beautiful woman on the outside, but has shown she is very ugly inside. A few days after I got my diagnosis, I announced my retirement from the nonprofit. Now, knowing what I know, I noticed Jane was a bit uncomfortable. I can guess why. I will be around more often. So tomorrow is my last day of work. Now I will be focusing on spending time with the family. I gave the camera server info to my lawyer and gave him access from his office. So I don't know if they had activities again, but I would assume yes again. I don't care. At this point, I know who I am and what is my worth. And AP is a big step down. As flashy as AP is, I am low-key. I drive a 15-year-old pickup truck. I like jeans and t-shirts and coveralls in the winter. I know for a fact that AP does not have anywhere near the wealth that Jane thinks he does. How? Since the trust has invested in his business, I get quarterly financials. I don't tell anyone how much I have. That is between my accountants and me. But let's just say that the trust has been growing for 30 years. I live a modest life, and there is enough there for my great-great-grandchildren to enjoy the farm and have their education paid for. Once Jane knows what she lost, that will be her reckoning. I just won't see it. December really got busy. We did our normal social rounds these last weekends. AP was at one of the parties. It was hard to not keep an eye on Jane and him. I don't think I was caught with being so busy and wrapping up everything at the job. I have had an easier time keeping it together. Jane has not expressed anything that would lead me to conclude that she knows. I know I am not proud of this, but I still sleep in the same bed. I have been selfish with her as of late. I feel like I am using her, but she has apparently been using me for at least the better part of this year. I am not as honorable as many of you have made me out to be. I hate this small amount of deceit. So don't worry about Jane getting everything, because she will not. The trust is in great hands. I have detailed instructions on how it is to be managed. Thanks to the comments, I have made plans in case my health turns for the worse sooner than I want or if I pass unexpectedly. I have also made plans to have in-home care when it is needed. Jane will not be my caregiver if I become incapacitated. The lawyer will tell Sarah, Steve, and the kids. Jane will be blocked from me. All important papers, valuables, and whatnot have been moved to a safe location. Finally, I have also started letters to each family member and Jane. Those have been harder than I thought, so I wanted to update you all before all of the festivities start. I might check in during holiday week, but if I don't, it is planned and expected.